Okay, so when we think about learning English, right, usually it's flashcards, grammar drills,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
The usual suspects, yeah. Vocabulary lists.
Exactly, but what if there's way more to it? Like, what if learning English actually starts to change the way you think on a really deep level?
Hmm, it's a big idea.
It is, and that's what we're diving into today. We're going beyond just, getting the verbs right. We want to look at the psychology, maybe how it touches your identity, even this philosophical angle that language shapes your reality.
So the mission basically is to unpack how picking up English might genuinely, well, rewire things upstairs.
Yeah.
Change your worldview.
Yeah, exactly. Rewire your brain, shift how you see things, maybe even subtly change who you are.
It's quite a concept, isn't it?
Right.
That the very thing we use to talk to each other, it's also the framework we use to understand everything.
Mhm.
So it kind of makes sense that getting new tools, new language tools could really, well, shake up those frameworks.
Totally. Let's start right there with that core idea. Language isn't just for talking. It's actually one of the main ways we, well, think.
Right. It structures thought.
There's that famous line from Wittgenstein, the philosopher, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world."
Ah, yes. A classic.
And it feels so relevant here. It's like learning English isn't just about adding words. It's potentially opening new doors in your mind, new ways to see things, new ways to process reality.
What Wittgenstein was getting at, I think, is that the concepts a language gives you are tied to what you can even perceive or how you reason about it.
So getting English means new categories, new ways to describe things.
Exactly. New ways to slice up experience, express nuances, even build an argument differently.
And this isn't just like theoretical. I heard this story about a Japanese student. Fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
So in Japanese, they naturally felt, quite polite, reserved. It's baked into the culture and language, right?
High context.
But when this student spoke English, they described feeling this sudden directness, confidence even.
Interesting.
And it wasn't just acting different. They felt like the language itself was prompting a different, well, cognitive style, a different way of thinking.
That's a perfect illustration, really, how the structure and the common usage of a language can nudge your thinking patterns.
Yeah, so the directness often valued in English.
Yeah, it might encourage a more, let's say, assertive way of tackling something or just stating your opinion, even inside your own head.
Which kind of leads us to the science side of things. There's this theory in cognitive science, linguistic relativity. You might know it as the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis.
Right, Sapir-Whorf, though it's evolved a bit over time.
Oh, definitely. It's crucial to get this part right. The modern idea isn't that your first language puts you in a mental box you absolutely cannot escape.
No, that old linguistic determinism idea that language forces you to think a certain way,
Right.
that's mostly been softened.
Right. It's more like the language you're using. And well, it shapes how you think. It influences it.
Precisely. It nudges you. It highlights certain things, gives you ready-made frameworks for understanding the world. It influences rather than dictates.
And there's some really cool research on this, like that study with Russian English bilinguals and colors.
Ah, the blue study, yes.
So in Russian, they have two distinct words for blue, right? Light blue, goluboy, and dark blue, sini.
Two separate basic color terms. Unlike English, where we just say blue and maybe add light or dark.
So when these bilinguals were sorting colors and they were thinking in Russian, they were faster at telling the difference between those two blues, made them seem more distinct.
Okay, makes sense. The language primes that distinction.
But here's the kicker. Same people, same colors, but this time they're asked to do it while thinking in English.
Yeah.
And suddenly, they sorted the colors more like native English speakers. The distinction wasn't as sharp in their reaction times. Their perception seemed to shift with the language.
Wow, that really drives it home. Same eyes, same colors, but the language active in their mind changed how they processed that basic visual info.
So, if language can tweak something as fundamental as seeing color, it just makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How far does it go?
Yeah. What about abstract stuff? Ideas, emotions, relationships? Could the language we're using subtly shade how we handle those too?
That's the million-dollar question, really. If it affects sensory perception, it seems highly likely, maybe even probable, that it also shapes how we conceptualize the abstract. The words, the grammar. They're the building blocks for understanding those more complex things.
Okay, let's zoom in on English itself then. Are there specific features in English that might push us towards certain ways of thinking?
Good question. What comes to mind for you?
Well, one thing is this focus on clarity. directness, especially in, say, American or British culture.
Mm-hmm. Get to the point.
Yeah, all those phrases, get to the point, say what you mean, let's cut to the chase, take the lead. It almost feels like the language itself is nudging you
Of course.
towards being more, I don't know, goal-oriented,
Yeah.
efficient, maybe even assertive in your thinking. What do you think?
I think that's a really sharp observation. English, particularly in professional or Western contexts, often values that explicitness, getting the message across clearly, efficiently.
So it encourages a certain kind of linear thinking.
Perhaps,
Yeah.
structuring thoughts directly, focusing on outcomes. It's not that other languages don't value clarity, of course, but
Mhm.
English often puts a very strong cultural and linguistic emphasis on it.
Okay, here's another angle. Time. How English handles time seems quite distinct sometimes.
In what way?
Well, the grammar often really clearly marks the future. I will do it. It's explicit. This action is ahead of us.
Compared to,
Well, compared to some languages where maybe the future tense isn't always mandatory or context tells you more. Like I think in Spanish, lo haré is I will do it, but maybe the grammatical marking feels less forceful sometimes or relies more on context.
that's an interesting linguistic point. The way tense and aspect are marked varies hugely across languages.
So, could that constant grammatical spotlight on the future in English actually make English speakers think more about the future, plan more, set goals more readily?
It's a compelling idea. How we grammatically treat time could definitely influence our temporal cognition, how we perceive it, relate to it. If the future is grammatically marked as very distinct,
Then maybe it feels more real, more separate from now.
potentially leading to more future-oriented behavior, planning, foresight, that sort of thing.
And check this out. There's actually a connection some economists found. It's wild.
Oh, economics and grammar.
Yeah, they found a correlation, just a correlation, mind you, between languages that strongly mark the future, like English, and higher savings rates in those countries.
Seriously. Higher savings.
That's the finding. The hypothesis being that if your language makes the future feel more concrete, more real, maybe you're more inclined to save for it.
Wow. Okay, you have to be careful with correlation versus causation. I get it.
Obviously, lots of factors influence savings.
But still, it's a really thought-provoking link. Suggests language might subtly shape our view on long-term stuff, delaying gratification.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk emotions.
Ah, the emotional landscape of bilingualism. Yes.
A lot of people say they find it easier to talk about difficult feelings in their second language, English included. Why might that be?
It's a fascinating psychological effect. The idea is that using a non-native language creates a bit of emotional distance.
Like a buffer.
Exactly. A slight filter between you and the raw feeling. That distance can give you space to reflect, to analyze the emotion with maybe a bit more calm than in your native tongue.
Where the feelings are more deeply wired, more automatic reactions.
Precisely. The connections between words and emotions are often built up over a lifetime in your first language. In the second language, those connections might be less intense, less immediate.
I remember reading about someone, I think they were from Brazil,
Okay.
and they said, talking about tough childhood memories in Portuguese, their first language, they'd often get overwhelmed, start crying.
Mm-hmm. Understandable.
But when they talked about the exact same things in English, they felt more in control, able to just describe it, analyze it almost.
That's a perfect example of what we're talking about, that potential for emotional regulation that a second language can provide.
It wasn't about not feeling, but feeling differently.
Right. Engaging with the feelings in a way that allows for more reflection, maybe more understanding. It could even help with processing trauma or difficult experiences.
Like English became a kind of mirror, reflecting things from a slightly different angle.
That's a great way to put it. A mirror offering a new perspective, maybe allowing for new insights, more measured response, helping with growth, healing.
Which brings us to maybe the most mind-bending idea, identity. Could speaking English actually subtly shift your personality, or at least how you express it?
Ah, the bilingual personality question. It's a hot topic in research.
And there is research on this, right?
Yes, definitely. The feeling that you're slightly different depending on the language isn't just anecdotal. There was a study, I think 2006, University of Texas.
What did they do?
They gave personality tests to bilinguals. Once in English, once in their native language.
Did the scores change?
They did. Significantly, in some cases.
Oh, so what kind of changes?
Well, the pattern they found was interesting. When participants took the test in English, they tended to score higher on traits like assertiveness, individualism.
Okay. And in their native language.
They often scored higher on things linked more to collectivism, perhaps emotional expressiveness, depending on the language and culture, of course.
Whoa. So it's not just translating words.
Nope. It seems like switching languages can mean tapping into a whole different cultural and cognitive framework.
One that might bring different parts of your personality to the surface.
Exactly. So communicating in English might genuinely make someone feel or act a bit more confident, maybe more analytical, maybe more adventurous.
Mhm.
Traits sometimes associated more with individualistic cultures where English is dominant.
It's not like becoming a totally different person.
No, no, more like activating different facets of who you already are. Facets that resonate more with the cultural vibes, the cognitive style embedded in English.
So learning English could, in a way, help you become, well, a bigger version of yourself, more multifaceted.
That's a lovely way to think about it. Expanding your repertoire, how you can be, how you can think, how you express yourself.
So, wrapping this all up, it seems pretty clear, doesn't it? Learning English is so much more than just words and grammar.
Absolutely. It genuinely seems to expand your mental toolkit, your horizons.
It builds connections not just with other people, but maybe with new parts of yourself, parts you hadn't accessed before.
Mhm. It's a journey of cognitive enrichment, personal enrichment too. New perspectives, new ways of thinking, even new ways of feeling or being.
So, for everyone listening, maybe take a second. Think about your own English learning journey. Have you noticed any shifts?
Yeah, even subtle ones.
Does switching to English change how you tackle a problem? How you feel in a certain situation? How has it maybe nudged your thinking?
It's a really fascinating personal reflection to do.
Because every step you take, every new phrase, every chat, it's all part of this evolution, isn't it?
It really is. You're not just learning a skill. You're actively shaping how you see the world, how you process it, how you interact with it.
You're becoming a thinker.